Has WWE gone too far with the Nia Jax My Hole situation? Hello and welcome to WrestleScope TV. This is WrestleScope Weekly. And yeah, I wasn't sure if I was going to go down this road, but hey, we have to after what happened on SmackDown on Friday night. We're going to talk about the whole situation with Nia Jax, the social media firestorm over this, and so much more. It is NXT Takeover Vengeance Day weekend. We're going to talk about that. Going to talk about the Dusty Classic. Going to talk about Elimination Chamber, Sammy Guevara quitting the Inner Circle, and so much more. Now, you may notice something here. If you're a longtime viewer of the show, you're going to notice there's a little something right there. That's right. We have a sponsor. WrestleScope Weekly here on YouTube is now sponsored by Iron Jock, and I'll talk about Iron Jock and their great products. I'm wearing one of their hoodies right now. Absolutely love it. Silver infused, silver lined, keeps the stink out, keeps the bacteria out for when you're working out. And I don't work out, and I love it. It's comfortable, it's beautiful. A brand new company doing fantastic things. I will be talking about Iron Jock just a little bit later in the show, but thank you to them for being a sponsor now of WrestleScope TV here on YouTube and also on our podcast on all of our podcast platforms. So thank you very much. As always, have to mention, go ahead and hit that subscribe button that's down there in the bottom. Follow me on all my social media. One of these days I'm going to get the pointing right. TikTok at WrestleScope TV, at TV_Wrestle on Twitter, and at WrestleScope on Instagram. So let's jump right into it. Unless you've been living under a rock for the last couple of days, you've seen memes, you've seen the video, you've seen jokes about Nia Jax and My Hole! Everything that happened on Monday Night Raw. So, the backstory again. It was a match, it was a tables match between Lana and Nia Jax. A match I didn't care to see because I'm sick and tired of this whole feud. I really am. Nia, being the giant bully that she is, the big bully that she is, was beating up on Lana. Lana overselling things, crying, everything else. Nia had her set up on the apron, and she was going to go for the leg drop on the apron. Lana rolls out of the way. Nia Jax lands basically on her tailbone, on her butt, and screams out in pain. And and she did a good job. I mean, she sold it. I will give her credit for that. She sold it. She screamed out, "Oh, my butt," first, and then immediately after that, it was "My hole." And then Lana puts her through the table. From everything I've been hearing from all the different reports, this was Nia Jax ad-libbing this. This was not planned. And the reason it's kind of easy to figure that out, because immediately, for the clips that went onto YouTube, immediately overnight Monday night, WWE edited this out. They edited that segment. I think they kept the "my butt" in, but "my hole" was gone. And it went right to the table. But people being people, and obviously if you DVR'd it or you watched it on Hulu like I do, and you grabbed it, you grabbed screenshots, you grabbed videos of it, it went viral all over the internet. Which it makes sense, it was kind of a funny segment. I even tweeted about it, and I originally didn't catch this part. I heard what was right before, and I tweeted, "Holy cow," she said, "Oh, my butt, my butt." Well, WWE kind of, within 24 hours, kind of turned tables, and they re-released it, and, they were putting some funny things out about it. Nia Jax was all over, her social media talking about it. I thought they were going to kind of kill it off, that nothing else was going to happen. Well, Friday night, I just sound like Hawk there. Well, on Friday night on SmackDown, we have this segment with Bianca Belair and Sasha, where Bianca still hasn't picked who she's going to face at WrestleMania, even though we all know it's going to be Sasha Banks, don't we? So, and then Shayna and Nia come down. For whatever reason, I think it's going to be setting up for, a match. A match between it. Maybe it's going to be a match between those two teams for the women's tag team championships. Which, please, 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 don't give Bianca and Sasha the belts. Let's not go down that road again. We don't need one of the women's singles champions being a tag team champion again. Overplayed, overdone. Bought the book, saw the movie, owned the t-shirt. Okay? So they come down, and they're talking how they're the dominant team and everything else, and then Sasha wants to play the video. And first it's the video of Shayna Baszler losing to Naomi, which was after this. And then Bianca cues up the video of this. And then they get into a brawl, and they do another spot where Nia Jax hits her butt on the apron. She doesn't scream this out again, but that's going to be the thing with Nia Jax now. It used to be the way you eliminate Nia Jax or you eliminate Tamina, one of the larger women, is the shoulder to the corner post. You can almost guarantee it. Now it's going to be the Nia Jax hurts her butt on the apron, the hardest part of the ring. WWE is turning into South Park when it comes to things like this, and we just don't need it. Vince probably saw this, and I'm going to apologize to my fans. You know I don't use language a lot of times in here, but there's kind of the funny joke of, Vince McMahon, that's good shit. Well, that's what it is, okay? Promise that's the only time this episode I'm going to do that. I apologize to anybody that may be watching with kids. I'm sorry, okay? But if Vince found it funny or Bruce Pritchard found it funny, I don't know. I don't agree with it. We don't need to go down this road. It's not that funny. It's really not. And you don't need to... The women's division doesn't need this. Okay? I could see... Okay, maybe if it was a guy and it happened to... It would be kind of funny. In a way. But the women's division doesn't need to be dragged down. The women's division at WWE is struggling enough as it is. And I'm not including NXT because NXT's women's division is phenomenal. But the main roster women's division, I think I talked about this last week, is an absolute hot mess right now. The best thing going is the teased Sasha-Bianca match at WrestleMania. Beyond that... you've got Charlotte and Lacey fighting over, 9,000-year-old Ric Flair. Charlotte giving promos that continue to be absolutely god-awful. Lacey Evans is so much better than this. This does not make her look good, okay? The main roster women's division is just an absolute disaster right now, and they've got to make some changes. They really do. They really do, before it just gets that much worse. All right, let's start talking about some positive things here. Well, let's talk about women's divisions, and a women's division that is starting to turn itself around, and I'm really excited to see what's going to happen here. They have the AEW Women's World Championship Eliminator Tournament. This is to determine who is going to be the next contender for Hikaru Shida, who is the current reigning AEW Women's Champion, who, when was the last time she defended her belt? I don't know. But I like Shida. I like Shida. She's great. And you've got some great talent. I can't speak to the right side of the bracket, the Japanese side of the bracket, because I don't know any of them. I recognize a couple of names, but I couldn't tell you about any of them. But I'm excited to watch what they're going to be doing. You look at the U.S.-based women's side, Thunder Rosa, one of my favorite wrestlers on the planet. You've got Nyla Rose, you've got Ty Conti, you've got Dr. Britt Baker, and so many others. Just an extremely solid grouping of women there. And the first match already was it was Layla Hirsch and Thunder Rosa on AEW Dynamite this last week. Fantastic. If you haven't seen that match yet, please go watch it. Actually, that entire show was fantastic. Absolutely loved all of it. I love what AEW is doing with this too, is instead of taking matches with Japanese women that nobody knows and the potential of people saying, well, I don't know who this is, the production quality is different, I'm turning this off, they're putting the matches on YouTube. They will probably show highlights on Dynamite, but the full matches are on YouTube. AEW has done a phenomenal job with maximizing YouTube to their benefit. AEW Dark, if you don't watch AEW Dark, I think you should, because really it's kind of their hybrid version of SmackDown meets NXT. You've got main roster talent and you've got up and coming talent. And there have been some fantastic matches, and there's not a lot of fluff and filler in there. There's a few things, no commercials because it's on YouTube. You get anywhere between 12 and 17 matches, and most of them are high quality. The only complaint I've had, they didn't do it this past week. They had a couple of weeks where Brody Lee Jr. would jump in, -1, and be on commentary. And this is no knock on Brody Lee's family. You know, it's still devastating what they're going through. But please don't put the kid on commentary, okay? It's like fingernails on a chalkboard. I'm sorry, it's not funny, it's not entertaining. That's why they don't do it on Dynamite, because people would turn it off. But that being said, I'm excited to see where things go here with with this women's tournament. I really see the finals on the U.S. side, which would be the semifinals, being Thunder Rosa and Dr. Britt Baker. As much as I'd like to see Thunder Rosa end up winning it, I think it's going to be Britt Baker. I'm excited for this week. You've got the NWA Women's Champion Serena Deeb taking on the former AEW Women's Champion Riho. That's going to be a great match. The winner of that to go on to face Thunder Rosa. As much as I'd like to see Serena Deeb and Thunder Rosa go at it again, I want to see Riho and Thunder Rosa, which will be fantastic. And I will try talking next week. I'm going to try watching as much of the Japanese women's side of this as I possibly can and talking about it on the show next week. All right. I'm going to jump away from AEW for right now. There is another AEW story I do want to cover, but I do want to talk about Elimination Chamber. And I was a little bit worried about Elimination Chamber because going into this week, we didn't have a lot of information coming out about matches that were going to be going on. We found out about the 6 men in the match for the WWE Championship on the Raw side, but now we know a little bit more about what is going on. They announced last night on SmackDown, and I love the way the storyline went with this. Let's talk about Raw first. We'll talk about Raw first. We've got 6 men. It's Drew McIntyre, the WWE Champion, Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton, Sheamus, AJ Styles, and Mr. Money in the Bank himself, The Miz. Not exactly the greatest 6 grouping in there. Jeff Hardy 10 years ago, okay. Miz 5 to 7 years ago, okay. But right now, no. I don't think so. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's right. Just, boy, not sure about this match. Again, Hardy, Miz, I don't know. Not really thrilled about it. I love that AJ Styles and Sheamus are in there. Sheamus and Drew can continue on their feud that's just starting. Randy Orton is good in there, but I don't know. I don't feel good about this one. Go on to the SmackDown side of things, and things started shaking out last night on SmackDown, where I loved that opening segment with Roman and Jay and Paul Heyman and Adam Pearce out in the ring, and they were trying to make it. Roman was going to have to defend in the chamber, and Paul Heyman, being Paul Heyman, like, hey, listen, it says he has to defend it at Elimination Chamber, not in Elimination Chamber. So, being the smart heel champion that he is, Roman Reigns will wait for the winner of the 6-man Elimination Chamber match, someone who will be beat up, and he'll just come in and clean up the scraps. So we ended up with, first of all, Adam Pearce announcing that 2 guys already earned their way in, didn't need to do anything. Jey Uso, which I find interesting, and KO, Kevin Owens. We knew that was going to happen. Then there was a couple of tag team matches set up. You have the Mysterios, Rey and Dominic, taking on King Corbin, and Sami Zayn. I really could care less if any of those 4 guys were in it. And then later on in the evening, it was the new team of Daniel Bryan and Cesaro, which I love this team, taking on the Dirty Dogs of Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler. Can we please, with Bobby Roode, I don't care if he's called Robert Roode, can we dump the Glorious? Because jean jacket, leather jacket wearing, kind of not wearing the robe is not glorious, okay? A dirty dog is not glorious. So can we drop the Glorious, please? Just the whole setup last night was fantastic, though. It was great to see. I'm not a huge fan of Sami Zayn. Never have been, probably never will be, but it was nice to see him get a clean win. No shenanigans, no outside interference, nothing else. He got a clean pinfall victory on Dominic Mysterio. When's the last time Sammy can say that happened? So that's nice to see for him. And then in a great match, you had the SmackDown Tag Team Champions going up against Cesaro and Daniel Bryan. And I'll tell you, Cesaro is looking like a freaking star right now. Though anybody that's been watching him for a while knows that Cesaro is a star. They just haven't portrayed it. And you want to know where it went to the next level? Was Talking Smack. Talking Smack. If you don't watch that on Saturdays, you really need to. Because Paul Heyman has been absolutely magical over the last month or so on Talking Smack. And it happened again. We had Cesaro come out at the very end. And, they had some courtesies going back and forth. Cesaro and Paul Heyman. And then all of a sudden, Cesaro brings in Daniel Bryan. And Daniel Bryan and Paul Heyman have gone back and forth quite a bit on the show. And DB had just some great shots at Paul Heyman. And was talking about Roman and cutting down Roman. And the line of the show was, wait a second. You signed Roman to the Brock deal, haven't you? Where he wrestles at pay-per-views. He doesn't wrestle on TV. He's got the Brock contract. It was absolutely fantastic. And then Paul tried turning it on them. Well, what's going to happen if the 2 of you are the last 2 in there? And Daniel Bryan called him out. Like, I know what you're trying to do here. And you know what? I've talked enough. I've had plenty of opportunities to talk about what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, why I think I'm going to win. But you know who hasn't? Is my guy Cesaro next to me. So I'm going to let him talk. Daniel Bryan just smiled at him and walked off. And Cesaro got to cut it wasn't a perfect promo. It really wasn't. But it was great. It was a from the heart, emotional, staring right into the camera promo for about 2.5 minutes. Something Cesaro has never been able to do on WWE TV. They finally strapped the rocket to him and are ready to launch him. I'm excited to see what happens. This one, conventional wisdom says, all right, Kevin Owens is going to be the one to win this. KO is going to win it. He's going to get beaten down by Roman Reigns, and it's going to lead to one more match at Fastlane. What I would love to see, as much as I would love to see Daniel Bryan, I want to see Cesaro get this shot. I want to see Cesaro come out on top, somehow win this match, get in a couple of moves on Roman Reigns, get beat down, and then Daniel Bryan lobbies for him to get the shot at Fastlane. And we get Cesaro versus Roman Reigns at Fastlane. Is it going to happen? Probably not. We probably won't see it happen. But that's what I'd like to see. What else do we have at Elimination Chamber that has already been announced? Well, the only other thing that has been announced, well, actually two have been announced. We've got the triple threat. It will be Keith Lee taking on Bobby Lashley. I had to think about that for a second. Bobby Lashley and Matt Riddle for the United States Championship, which should be a good match. I will talk about predictions later. The other match that's been announced so far is Asuka taking on Lacey Evans, which, what frustrates me with this is Asuka, as the Raw Women's Champion, should be the spotlight. But she's the fourth wheel in this, because it's going to be all about Lacey, Charlotte, and Ric Flair. The early buzz right now is Lacey Evans is going to win this match. And it's leading to Lacey versus Charlotte for the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania. Please don't let this happen. But I think that's where it's going. Could I be wrong? I don't know. Lots of speculation on this one. Maybe Charlotte comes in and makes a mistake and ends up costing Asuka the championship. Or Ric Flair gets involved somehow, which you know he will. This is just another women's storyline that I just don't like. What else will be announced? The Intercontinental Championship. Big E will probably put the title on the line against somebody. Will it be Apollo Crews? Well, maybe that one. I don't know if it would be kind of cool to have the Intercontinental Championship defended in the Elimination Chamber, because it's pretty much been announced there will not be a women's Elimination Chamber match this year, which I kind of agree with, because there's just not enough talent on either roster, on either SmackDown or Raw, to really be able to put on a high quality women's Elimination Chamber match right now. So that won't be happening. Before we switch gears, since it is NXT TakeOver weekend, I do want to talk about, I talked about this at the beginning, and I am absolutely just thrilled to the moon about this. Whoops, we took that out. We have our first ever sponsor here on WrestleScope, and it is Iron Jock. Brand new company. Iron Jock has absolutely fantastic performance gear. It eliminates the stink before it starts. Advanced workout gear with super fabrics that are guaranteed permanent odor protection. We're not talking the stuff that you'll overpay for, that you wash it 5 times and the odor protection is gone. They have tested it over 75 washes before it even starts going down a little bit. What's inside? That's what counts. Enduratech, that's what it's made of. It's what's inside of every piece of Iron Jock gear. Super fabric. It's specifically designed with nano silver technology. Something that just came out in the 1990s. Nano silver technology. I'm still learning about this myself. Absolutely fantastic. It's exclusive only to Iron Jock. Their Enduratech innovative nano silver technology naturally activates, seeks out, and eliminates 99.9% of all odor-causing bacteria. So it's something that you can wear over and over and over again if you're working out, if you're at the gym, if you like to run, if you're doing other things. This stuff, it will not stink. Okay, it's going to be fantastic. You're going to be able to wear it for days and days and days without running into problems. Your workout is never going to be the same. This is workout gear that doesn't stink. It never quits because it's what's inside that counts. I'm wearing it right now, proudly. Iron Jock right here. They've got hoodies, they've got tees, they've got underwear, they've got socks. They're rolling out shorts, warm-up pants, jackets, so many more things. You can check out everything that they have to offer on their website, ironjock.com. That's Iron, J-O-C. See it right here, Iron, J-O-C.com. And I want to just thank Iron Jock for being a part of WrestleScope. And it's not just going to be here on the podcast, on YouTube and our podcast platform, but it's also going to be on all the other social media I do on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. They're going to be jumping on TikTok soon. Go check it out. Absolutely love what they are doing. Iron Jock again, ironjoc.com. And coming up soon, we're going to have a special discount code for you. Hopefully, as early as next week, we will have a special discount code for you to use as a supporter and a viewer and a follower and a person that loves WrestleScope, that you'll be able to use to get a discount on your Iron Jock gear. All right, let's talk about, you know what, before we get to the fun of Vengeance Day, we gotta talk about the big thing out of AEW this past week. And I'm not talking about Kenta and Kenny Omega tag teaming against Lance Archer and Jon Moxley. That was a barn burner of a match. Gotta love it when a box of potato comes in. But we're not going to talk about that. We have got to talk about Sammy Guevara quitting the Inner Circle. This has been teased for months. Ever since MJF first showed interest in being involved in the Inner Circle and then winning that match against Jericho to be part of the Inner Circle, everything has been leading to this. And Sammy is a smart guy. The Spanish God knows what's going down. And he finally got sick and tired of it. He confronted MJF this past week, and he had warned Jericho. He had warned Chris Jericho, Le Champion, the Demo God, that, hey, one more thing, I'm out. He was a man of his word. And he told him, it's right there, I quit. And then they followed him into the back. I think it was Alex Marvez followed him. And he had his suitcase like, you know what? I need to get out of here. I need to get away from this. I think we're going to see Sammy gone for a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months. I don't know. I don't know if there's something else going on behind the scenes with Sammy that he needs to take the time off. If there's an injury that we don't know about, something else. If that's the case, if he's getting something taken care of. But the storyline is great. I love it. I would actually almost like to see them do something similar, but not as long as Sting. When after the NWO came in and they had teased that Sting was NWO and Luger, what was it? It was Luger and Savage and others turned on Sting and he disappeared and became the Crow and was gone for 18 months before he came back in the ring. I don't want Sammy Guevara gone for that long. But have him be sitting off deep somewhere at Daly's place at the shows. Not interacting with anybody, just sitting and watching what's going on with MJF, what's going on with Jericho, what's going on with the Inner Circle. Keeping track of things that are happening. They'll play it up that MJF is now going to start pitting. Maybe he's going to pit Santana and Ortiz against Jericho, because Santana and Ortiz get a tag team title shot even though they're not the official tag team of the Inner Circle. And maybe MJF is going to come out and cost them the match or do something to tick off Proud and Powerful. And then he's going to go after Jake Hager, and he's just going to start chipping away, and we're starting to see babyface tendencies from Chris Jericho again, which would be kind of cool to see with it when him and Sammy get back together again, that Chris Jericho goes babyface again. I would love to see that. This is an interesting storyline. AEW is handling it very well. I hope they don't fast track this. Let this stew for a little while. Let this stew until maybe May, April or May. And finally we have the MJF Sammy Guevara match at the big pay-per-view in May. Maybe that's how we do it. I don't know. All right, we're going along on this one. I have to give my NXT Vengeance Day, Takeover Vengeance Day predictions. And I got to tell you, out of any pay-per-view, any special show, and I don't know why my graphic is not showing up here. I've lost my graphic. Uh-oh. Oh, we're running into problems. So, all right, we're not going to have the Vengeance. We're not going to have the Vengeance graphic here for some odd reason. I'm not quite sure why. But we've got the finale of both Dusty Cups. And is this tournament time in wrestling right now? You've got the Dusty Cup, men's and women's. You've got the AEW Women's Championship Eliminator Tournament. Just a lot of tournaments going on right now, but that's okay. You've got the team of Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart against Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai. Winner of this, first ever Women's Dusty Cup champions, but they get a future shot at the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, who probably will continue to be Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler. Conventional wisdom would say, all right, if you've got the heel tag team champions, you're going to have the babyface winners of this. Shotzi Blackheart, Ember Moon. I'm thinking of going the other direction because Raquel Gonzalez is a star in the making. She will get moved up to the main roster very, very soon. Probably right after WrestleMania. Dakota Kai, definitely a solid wrestler, has done extremely well over the last couple of years for herself. I really like Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon, but I've got to go with Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai in this one. I think they're just going to figure out a way to do it. Shotzi still has a ways to go, does not need to be fast-tracked for anything right now. I see her later this year being in the mix for the NXT Women's Championship. And it's just exciting to see somebody that has done so well on the independents, did a lot of wrestling up here in the Midwest, doing so well for herself. But, yeah, I don't think it's going to be the time for Ember and Shotzi. On the men's side, this one's a little bit tougher to call. You've got MSK, the brand new team coming in, taking on the grizzled young veterans. And grizzled young veterans, they were in the finals last year and lost out. MSK, brand new to NXT, the former Rascals in Impact Wrestling, and they've taken NXT by storm. This is going to be a phenomenal match. Grizzled Young Veterans had just a superb semifinal match against Thatcher and Ciampa. I can't see them losing 2 years in a row. But again, you've got Oney Lorcan, Danny Burch, right now as the NXT Tag Team Champions. Are you going to have two heel teams fighting for those Tag Team Championships unless Lorcan and Burch are going to end up losing them before they have to defend against the Grizzled Young Veterans? It's tough. You know, MSK has done an extremely good job. They've looked solid since coming in. But do you take away from a team that has really fought and battled and made their way back again in the Grizzled Young Veterans? It's hard to go on this one. A lot of people are saying MSK. I'm going to go Grizzled Young Veterans. They can't lose 2 years in a row. I'm going to go with those guys. Another great match coming up, and I got to see if I've got the right graphic here. Here we go. As we're having issues with our Streamlabs today. It is the Triple Threat Women's Championship match. Mercedes Martinez, Toni Storm challenging the NXT Women's Champion Io Shirai. This is going to be a fantastic match. Contrasting styles in this. Mercedes Martinez, the big, powerful one of the group. Toni Storm, a combination of mat wrestling, some lucha, and power. And then you've got the Empress of the Sky, Io Shirai, who has been absolutely phenomenal as the NXT Women's Champion. Has her time come? A lot of people are thinking Mercedes Martinez. She was brought up for a very short period of time as part of Retribution, was not happy with things, was very vocal about it, and was moved back down to NXT. I think it was a smart move on her part. This may be the time for the belt to come off of Io Shirai. It will not be Toni Storm, even though Toni Storm did have the Mae Young Classic win over Io Shirai 3 years ago. It's not Toni Storm's time. She doesn't need a belt right now. I've got to go with, and this would make for 3 heels winning at NXT TakeOver. But I'm going to stop myself there. Io Shirai is going to win. She's going to retain, but the feud with her and Mercedes Martinez is going to continue on. Martinez is going to be the one that is going to dethrone Io Shirai. It's not going to happen at Vengeance Day. I had to stop myself there for a minute. Can you believe it? Then we go on to a match I am super excited for. This is probably the match I'm looking forward to the most. It is Johnny Gargano leading the way, defending his North American Championship against Kushida. A guy who, he's been in NXT for 2 years. And this will be, I believe, his first TakeOver appearance. What the heck has WWE done? He's put in his time. He's put in the work. He has looked absolutely phenomenal the last 2 months. They've got to give this belt to Kushida. Gargano does not need it right now. Gargano does not need the belt. He is isn't he a 3-time North American champion now? I believe he is. I believe he's a 3-time North American champion. He does not need to maintain this belt. Kushida is going to find a way. He's going to overcome. Kushida will be the new North American champion. And finally, again, a match I cannot believe that has never happened. But for the first time ever, Finn Balor and the Bruiserweight Pete Dunne one-on-one for the NXT Championship. I was really, really shocked that this was not a triple threat with Kyle O'Reilly. There's got to be some good reasoning behind it. Maybe we'll end up with Balor O'Reilly 3 at WrestleMania. Which, man, you put them on the WrestleMania stage. Holy cow, what are they going to do? I think it's going to end up happening. This is going to be a brutal match. You know Pete Dunne is going to be targeting the jaw of Finn Balor. That's all he's been talking about. Finn Balor has to defend his honor against Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne, who was an incredible NXT UK champion, now battling for the NXT championship. This match has potential for match of the year if given the time. I'm hoping it just ends up staying one-on-one, that we don't end up with any involvement from Lorcan and Birch. There are rumors floating around that Pat McAfee could be back as early as Vengeance tomorrow. I hope not. Let these two go one-on-one. Let them two battle it out. Since we're on the road to WrestleMania, and NXT is going to be a part of WrestleMania this year since it's a 2-night event, I've got to go with Finn Balor retaining the championship. So we're going to have only one championship changing hands. The 2 main titles, the women's and the NXT championship, will not change. Kushida will be the new North American champion, and it'll be the Grizzled Young Veterans and the team of Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez as your Dusty Cup champions. Well, that is it. That is it for WrestleScope Weekly. I am not going to have a hot take this week. I'm still recovering from last week's hot take. Thank you very much to everybody that commented on it, that sent me messages about it. I greatly appreciate it. I am hoping to do a little bit more. My schedule is going to start lightening up after next week. I haven't been doing as much as I'd like to as far as podcasting. Things are going to finally start slowing down as we get to the end of February for myself, which means I'm going to be able to do a little bit more. Still doing all my stuff on all my other social media. You can check it out again over here. If you're watching the YouTube, TikTok, at WrestleScope TV, at TV_Wrestle on Twitter, and at WrestleScope on Instagram. Make sure you subscribe to me. You like this video, you hit the notification bell so you know every time something is going to be on. I have that goal. I haven't talked about it in a few weeks. 1,000 subscribers by April 25th. 10,000 followers on TikTok by April 25th. Help me get there. And we're getting close. I'm going to talk about Patreon very soon. Not going to talk about it right now. Don't forget, you can actually go into my bio, check out all my links to all my social media, my Amazon wish list, and so many other things. It's all right there. And thank you once again to Iron Jock for being our brand new sponsor here on WrestleScope. Check them out. Again, you could go to ironjoc.com. Check them out. They are on Facebook. They're on Instagram. They just started on TikTok. If you're following me on TikTok, I'm going to be shooting their stuff your way as well. I'm John. This is WrestleScope TV. Enjoy NXT Vengeance Day. I'm going to start watching New Japan Pro Wrestling on Roku TV because it went live this week. Have a great week. We'll talk to you later.